Good morning, it's Harvey Jackson. Just going to get through some news here. China allows fresh urea exports amid Iran war-fueled fertilizer crisis, sources say. So in the article, they're talking about selling some fertilizer and it basically going on track to get to India. And domestic urea prices in China remain well below international levels as they kind of just made sure that they covered themselves. And the new export quotas were likely to be welcomed, in particular by India, which imported more than 40% of its urea, a nitrogen-based fertilizer, and diammonium phosphate, a widely used phosphate-based one from the Middle East last year. Um, down to the next highlighted area, several fertilizer industry sources and social media accounts that around 1.5 million metric tons of urea will be allocated, although Reuters could not typically verify the total volume. China exported 4.9 million tons of urea in 2025, well below the range of 5 to 5.5, which usually accounts for more than 10% of the global urea exports, according to StoneX. So they are selling some fertilizer, which is good. The crop progress report came out a few days ago. It just I haven't talked about it, but you can see as of the Sunday, you're 86% on the lower end of the range on the corn planted, and once you get to 50% across everything on emergence, then they'll start doing crop rankings as well. The other thing that of note here, winter wheat conditions slipped to 26%. You would not know that by looking at the chart. um, just taking note of this hammer trend line, or inverted hammer at the trend line support, and we'll see how it's actually traded out today. But close well off the highs after a rally is usually bearish. But after a sell-off, it can sometimes be a sign of a potential reversal, and it shows buyers tried to step in. The key is follow through. One candle doesn't mean anything without confirmation. Take Friday's candle, for example. If we get a green day tomorrow, which we'll show later, and it still has to close as well, but on the other, it could be a sign of a possible reversal. On the other hand, if we continue lower, that 450 level is the last level of support, and the line in the sand, 450 is the 61.8 retracement value from the highs and lows to contract lows. And you also see support from the fall, where the market bottomed at the back of April. So we'll just have a look at that after here. Here's your weather build or moisture, and you can see Alberta does get covered basically just on Sunday, and they add in there. What you can see on the 2-week forecast, there is some moisture in the mid-plains there. And we'll just see what the next weather model, that was the GFS. Here's your European model. Shows pretty much the same thing, but 2 weeks out, you start to get the moisture. And this one looks even more significant. There's more coverage into Saskatchewan in the 2-week model. Here's your accumulated moisture for the last 14 days. Quite wet. But when you start looking at the percent of normal soil moisture drought model, you can see Alberta probably needs that rainfall by the look of it, and some of Saskatchewan or Manitoba is going to get covered as well. So when you're looking at the moisture anomaly index, I have a couple clients down in that area there, and it is dry, very extremely dry. So, and of course, the western part of Alberta seems to be quite dry, going all the way south. Here's just a wind model, and I'm always looking for these blue colors, and gray even shows up. There's a fair bit of wind in southern Saskatchewan. But you can see the wind does pick up, and it does kind of give you the days when it starts to get a little bit more amplified. Of course, that's where the rain was hitting, and then when we get the 2-week, it looks like even more wind again. Canola is up $3.20 on November at $7.63. Rapeseed is up $3 as well at $5.27. Soybean oil is basically flat, doing nothing. Palm oil is slightly up. Crude oil is down $3.60 at $90.30. Brent is down $2.81. Diesel fuel is down 12 cents a U.S. gallon in New York. Soybeans up a penny at $11.87. And your wheats, spring wheat is down a couple cents. Hard red winter is down 6 3/4 cents. Chicago is down 8.5. Not showing signs of that good to excellent growing conditions are, getting less and less. Oats unchanged, corn down a penny, Canadian dollar down again. Just quick look at the markets here. You can see basically just trading sideways, even with these green candle yesterday and slight green today, still not showing signs of breaking out of that channel. Here you can see the channel is more defined on the November contract. And European rapeseed is having trouble getting above this 530 value. Soybean oil futures, that's why I say we're just not doing anything here, just tracking sideways. And partly because soybeans are not doing anything but falling back into that channel that we've been talking about for quite some time. Your palm oil futures basically right at some of the short-term moving averages. Crude oil well below the 100-day moving average and approaching the 78.6 retracement value. And if we fall from there, potential stop there at right around 80. And I believe with this market, we're probably trading in this. The lows will be in the high 70s, and just because of things are not figured out here yet. Brent is lower, and here's your diesel fuel, the one that matters. If we can get down into the 320 area, that would be fantastic for diesel fuel and hopefully some good purchases that can happen there for the consumers. Here's your gasoline has been five days in a row, maybe six of downward movement. Canadian dollar, there's been no pause here. Looking at this area down here, 78.6 again. Or 71.8, sorry. And that's that area there. So I just looking at, even if it makes it through there, you're looking at 70.8, and then if that makes it through there, the next layer would be 68.995. US dollar. The S&P just keeps on rocking and rolling here. So your gold futures well off its highs, but still in a pretty high range. Silver, copper, this is one that just wants to keep going as well. And we know what's going on with all the the AI and electrification of all countries as well. So 1-year bond back to trying to get back to those highs that were made back in April. Quick look at wheat, still trading sideways here, and you can say that you probably got some sort of a triangle in here as well. See if it can stay and trade right at those short-term moving averages. Here's your Kansas wheat, and what was support or resistance is now looking like it could try to put in a support level. I doubt that it would hold if the market wants to just fall. Chicago's doing the same thing. Milling wheat keeps bumping its head against that resistance level at the top here. Corn futures. So this is a weekly chart, and you can see that hammer candle. And then when we draw in the daily chart, you got that upside down hammer, and it is red today. So that potential would bring us all the way back down to this area here, $4.68 to 450-ish area. Oat futures. This looks like we're potentially going to try to make higher highs, higher lows. But when you look back, it doesn't look that